This is Victoria Christensen with Agile Dragon Group. In April, we had a guest, Tiffany, who is the head of bursts at Infor, to help us go through one of the new features that they have recently released, which is being able to add a KPI or a report using a API call. So I'm going to show you how very easy it is to take any existing KPI or report and set that up in your tenant, right? So that people can cross-mingle reports now from CSD Analytics or any custom solutions, like anything in the Dragon Pack as well. So I'm going to use Audit. We're going to have to set up Audit because in order for those APIs to be able to be used, we have to set them as an application, not at the tenant level like we've done here, but inside of Burst. So I'm going to walk you through kind of how to do that. So I'm going to go into Burst. I'm just into my space, so I'm just going to do it here. I'm going to go down to Admin, and down here in Application Management is where we add all those spaces. So you have other spaces that are created here, right? So we can actually use any of those here to create, they'll use those API and that API widget that was released in April. So I'm going to go ahead and just create my application, and we just need to name it. So we'll call it ADG. We'll just, Dragon Pack Audit. And I'm going to just kind of name that for all of them. This is version 7. So I'm going to just put version 7 in here so we can keep track of which one they are. I'll copy and paste this and put this in all of them. The only thing here is when we add it in our short name, we're not allowed to use any capital letters. So it will yell at me if I try to leave that field and no special characters, right? So I can only use lowercase letters. So I just need to update my application, my product short name here, and then it will be okay. So now I have a short name, right? It's good. It's happy. I have been using the product version means absolutely nothing to how the application works. I actually have been using it to identify the version or the date that I set up the application. So till we have a better way to handle or to use those with, that's kind of what I'm doing. So today is the 29th, so I'm going to use today's date. And then right down here, same thing. I'm just going to call this one Audit 7, right? Nice, short, sweet, and we keep track of what they are. So this is that logical ID. This is so that our applications can talk to each other, right? So we need to have that set up in there. So now that I have an application set up, now when I go back into my reports, right, I can go in any of my dashboards, and I want to edit this to see what that measure is. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to click on edit. You can use this in a report, whatever you need to do. But for a KPI, right, all I need to do is have that active user key, right? I'm going to use that as my my indicator for my measure. We'll set it by count distinct and load if, right? So now that I understand which one that is, I'm going to just go over now to Visualizer because I kind of need to copy that, need to create like a report so I can use that query inside of that space, right? So go to my measures, and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say custom space, right? And when I go to my measures, here's that active user key. There it is, right? Here's my graph. I can just make that a table so you can just kind of see what it looks like, right? That's what we have. We need to apply maybe some filters on that, right? So we can identify some of those things. So we can apply those filters. All right, so I've added my filters, right? I add the domains on here so we can keep up what those are. So we're going to change this from, right, we've got all our keys, right? So we've got our grand total down here. So we should be able then to, I can get rid of these out of my columns, right? Because we don't technically need them. I can get rid of my disabled because they're in my columns, right? So I have here's my number, right? So that's the number I'm looking for. So I'm going to go up to my advanced tools, and I'm going to go down and select my query. So I need to just copy this out, and I'm going to copy that there, put that on a notepad or something so that we can keep track of that, because we're going to need to use that later. I also have been saving those in a folder within the pack for as in a new folder. I've been calling them API reports, right? Because this way you can easily go through, and if you need to change a report, instead of having to recreate it every time, then you can use this to go in, make those modifications, and then just recopy those queries and make it a lot easier to manage those. So I'm going to go in here, right, and I'm going to just name this one our save it, and I'm going to put it in my API folder. So I'm going to call this active users. All right, so we got that in here. So now we have our active user count, and I have that created, and I have my app created. So now I can go back to, I can go anywhere. So I can go into CSC Analytics. I can go into just my dashboard, right? So from here, as long as I can have that widget menu set up, I can do it in there. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to create a workspace here, and I'll show you how that kind of works, right? So this is that advanced workspace, right? I can add one in here, so I can add that active count into this workspace if I wanted to. So I can add them here. I can add an insight group into onto a workspace or into from an application. So we're going to just say add workspace, and I'm going to say add a workspace, and I'm going to create a new one, right? Because this we don't have one established, and I'm just going to call this the Burst APIs PI widget. There we go. So I'm going to create it as just a widget page so that we can add whatever we want in here. So I'm going to go ahead and say continue. I'm going to pick my icon, and I'm going to say create. So now that I have a blank space, now I can add my banner, or if I wanted to, I could add it down here. So I'm just going to add a widget down here on the bottom. So the burst reports, this is the old version, right? Those burst versions. So that is single space burst reports KPIs that we can use here. The analytics widgets are burst reports that are now an API call, and you can cross mingle them between multiple spaces. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to just click that analytics widget here, right? That was the one that we got in May here. So I'm going to say add my widget and close that out. So right here we go. I've got my widget in here. So I can just save off my workspace. I can go in now, I can configure this. So when you get here, you're going to have you get to select your products, right? We're going to select Burst because that's where our content has came from. And now we have to select those applications that we had created, right? So this is your CSC Analytics, right? This is your WMS, I think. So all of your spaces that were created inside of, or your applications inside of application management inside of Burst are here. So I'm going to use my DragonPack audit because that's the space that we're using, right? And now I have to paste in that query that we've used, right? So here is my query. So you'll see here, right, I've got some columns, right? When they come across, they're kind of, they're not named. So if I leave that alone, it's going to come across and I'm going to have to fix those. So I just updated the name of that to what that was. So I've pasted my domain in here. I'm going to click on validate. It's going to validate it. It's going to tell me if there's a problem or not. And there is a problem. So it's not going to like it. Say, yay, it's good. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and say next. It's going to give me that weird number that I got, right? If I didn't update my title, right? Now I've got that column 0. We can go through, there was a couple things we can do, right? So we can change the chart type. So I can rename things. I can kind of change things around, right? I can do set them up as a different chart modes. Or I can set them up here as a KPIs. So I can do that over here as well. So we've got a couple of things that we can do. Over here, we got a table, a gauge, right? We got some choices based on what it's capable of. When I make it a KPI, it does make them small. There's a configuration thing that you will have to figure out how to do. I'm not going to be able to show you how to do it now because I'm not sure how to fix them, but we can add then more than one in there. So when I click on that little gear, right, this gives me that opportunity to go through and kind of identify what things are. So if I want to do like a stacked KPI, I can do that. I can set them up this way, right? I can have 3 in there. It looks kind of familiar with some of the other KPIs that were in there, right? So very easily I can go through here. I can identify them, right? Here's where I can go. I can edit this now, and when I can change that name from column 0, right? I can change it here. Active users and validate it, right? It works. It'll make sure that it's still good. And I can render chart, right? And it'll fix it. So it'll update. Now it says active users, right? We're awesome. Cool. I can close that one out and I can add other ones in here. So I can now go through, I can change some of these things if I want to, or I can create like these hyperlinks, right? If I wanted to go back maybe to a dashboard or something, I can add the name of it and then that URL. To get those URLs, I'll show you how to do that, but we're not today. So I've got my KPI in here. I probably should fix this so it's only 1, right? Let me go back over to my gears. I'm going to say 1, and we'll be able to do that. We might want to, maybe in the subtitle, you can put it in, Dragon Pack audit, right? So we know where it came from. And same thing, I can go ahead, I can say finish, right? And now I've got my analytics widget. I can also now, when I go to configure, this is where I can go in and modify it again if I needed to, or if I wanted to, right? I can also go through here and I can say advanced. I can publish this now that other people now can be able to go through and add it. I can also go in and edit my input. So, right, same thing. It takes me back to my report. I can go through, I can edit it. I can also change this title, right? So if I want to publish this, we might want to put that in there, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. ACT, active users, right? And I'm going to call put a subtitle in there, and I'm going to put in Dragon Pack audit. Dragon Pack audit. And this is so that when we publish it, it shows up in our catalog and people know what it's from, right? Go here and I'm going to say version 7, right? Because we're in version 7 for current audit. So go ahead and save that. I'm going to say finish. And now it's here. So I can now go through. I can publish my workspace if I wanted to, or I can just go through and I can just publish my widget. So now that everybody else can do it here, right? So I'm going to publish my widget. It's going to show up here. I'm going to copy it, put that in there from Dragon Pack Audit. Dragon Pack Audit. And I go my settings, permissions, right? I'm going to add portal user. And so that it's public for everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to say, I'm just going to publish this one. So now we have a KPI that I've added to our dashboard. And I've also published this widget. So now we can add it to other spaces. So if I wanted to go in and I can go in and add anywhere else. I can go into any other application now, right? I can edit this workspace. I can create a new workspace. And now when somebody else goes in and they want to add maybe a widget to their application of any kind or to another workspace, they can. So when I sign into my ERP, we're going to go through and I'm going to say, go up to my widget catalog, right? And I can now go in and edit my catalog. So if I say yes, right, I can go through, I can add a new one, right? Go down, scroll all the way down, edit my layout, edit a new one, and you will see I now have it's now published, right? So now it's available to add anywhere in the any other catalog using that analytics widgets KPI that we had just created. So enjoy.